Good morning. This is the meeting of the Subcommittee of Family, Children, and Custody, Subcommittee of the California Paraprofessional Program Working Group. We are recording. I'd like to go ahead and take roll. Bashan?
Present.
Hamilton?
Present.
McRae?
Here.
Olvera?
Here.
Sarush? Okay. And we have a number of attendees, and it looks like there's at least one person who wants to make a comment. We can go ahead and start with that. And if there's anyone else who is in the attendees list that would like to make public comment, please raise your hand using that function in Zoom. We did receive written public comment from Bates Sedek and Public Counsel that was circulated to the members of this subcommittee this morning before the meeting. But I'd like to go ahead and invite Stephen Fleischman to speak. Okay, Stephen, as soon as you unmute, go ahead.
Hi, guys. I saw the posted report for Thursday's meeting on the State Bar website. I think you guys are doing a great job. I just had two questions or comments for the group. One is, I agree with the recommendation that depositions should not be included in the program. I just was wondering why expert discovery is also not excluded. Not that it's included, it just seems to be an open issue. And then on the chart on page 2, I'm wondering what's meant by attorney's fees, including expert and paraprofessional fees. If that's the recovery of fees from the other side, will the family code have to be amended to accommodate that? And if so, does that go outside of our committee's charter, which only allows us to make recommendations for statutory changes to the statutes governing the unauthorized practice of law? I don't know if you guys want to talk about these issues now or you want to wait till Thursday's meeting. I just wanted to sort of put those out there for your consideration.
I think it's smarter if we talk about it now. The expert discovery, Stephen, we just haven't got to it yet. The expectation is that's definitely going to fall in line with depositions. I think there may be a limited area where a paraprofessional could do a demand for exchange of expert witnesses and help a party respond to that. But in terms of conducting the actual expert witness discovery, that's probably going to fall in line with the depositions. On the attorney's fees, I think the language was, we're anticipating a paraprofessional is going to be able to help someone make a request for fees. I think that those fees should include the paraprofessional fees, because you've got a right to request fees. In family court, it's much different than civil court. Anybody can make a need-based request under Family Code Section 2030. And then we also have sanction-based requests under Family Code Section 271. But on the need-based request, the expectations, yeah, there would be a potential change to the family code, which I think would not, because it's tied to our work, we would make the recommendation and request, but that would have to be handled independent of our committee.
All right, with that, I don't have anything to add, and I'm happy to jump off and let you guys get to work, and I'll see you on Thursday.
I don't see any other requests, any other raised hands. So I don't think we have any additional public comment. So I think we can go ahead and proceed and taking up where we left off, and Stephen is going to share the document as it stands now and to continue the discussion. And Stephen mentioned that he needs to step away from the meeting for a hearing. Unfortunately, this is the time that most everyone was able to participate. And at that point, I will take over sharing the document.
I'm sorry. I thought we scheduled this session today to dig into conservatorships and guardianships. Is that not what you all intend to do? Because we had the presenters at the last meeting, and then there wasn't really an opportunity for this subcommittee to talk about sort of what was presented and therefore begin to be able to generate any recommendations or draft ideas as to what you might be ultimately recommending with respect to those two.
I'll be honest, it's all the PPWG meetings are a blur to me, so I can't imagine much easier on the staff. I don't disagree with that. I'm trying to remember what specifically triggered today's meeting, and that seems reasonable.
So other members of the subcommittee? If I'm the only one that remembers that, I could have gotten it wrong also, and it's obviously up to you what you want to discuss.
It sounds right now that you say it, but I'm with Stephen. It's just did the let's try to move the mail mode, and I lost that thread, so sorry.
Okay. Well, I think really I seems like I've derailed you a little bit. It's obviously up to you. We could go back to Stephen's chart, which I think we'll continue working through family law, or we could turn to conservatorships and guardianships. We've got the 3 different types of conservatorships to grapple with. I think guardianships we had initially identified as being a lot authorized in the program, but maybe some wanted to have some additional discussion on that. I also see we have another public commenter request to make public comment. So maybe we can take that and the subcommittee members can think about what you want to do. Stephen, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, with Fariba not here, and my recollection is we got the chart to as far as we were going to get it for this week's meeting. And we're going to elicit, I think you're right. We were going to elicit response from the group as a whole before we made decisions about the ones that were unresolved in terms of our recommendations, and then come back and revisit the chart. I think you're right. And
Okay.
I think the speakers associated with BetSetic, which you submitted the comment letter, so probably a good direction to go today.
Okay. Should we start by taking the one additional public comment?
Yes, so Bertha Hayden, if you'd want to go ahead and speak.
Yes, respectfully, that was our understanding of today's session as well. As committee member, Ms. Wilson noted that we'd be discussing conservatorships, guardianships, and elder abuse after the presenters. And if the committee is going to go on to a different work today, then perhaps we could ask that the matters of conservatorship and guardianship and elder abuse that will be specifically discussed get posted, clearly tagged on the agenda. That way that we will be able to all be on the same page when those matters get discussed.
I think we're going to discuss them today.
Thank you.
Did you have any other public comment today?
No, we submitted our comments that we wanted to put forth or further considerations after the presentations, and through the questions that this committee asked, we wanted to put forth some additional information for your consideration. Perhaps after the discussion, if there's any points that we feel we can elucidate, we will come back.
Okay.
Do we have any guest speakers today?
No,
Okay.
it really was just to follow up on the guest that we heard before.
Okay. So I don't do a lot with conservatorships or guardianships. The guardianships more have done some of those. Conservatorships has been real limited. Does anybody on the committee have practice experience in those areas?
Guardianship, yes.
Do you want to start with guardianship, maybe discussing guardianships then, since you, at least 2 of you have some experience?
Yeah, I think, I mean, my initial take is on the guardianships, there's a lot of people that end up doing those self-represented right now. They're not getting the assistance. It's a highly technical area with a lot of forms that have to be submitted. It's challenging even for attorneys or people who haven't been doing it for a lot of years to make sure that they get the right letters and other forms into the judge. As long as a paraprofessional was adequately trained, any assistance to help a self-represented party would be, I think, beneficial. That's my initial take. I'm looking through the BetCetic email. And just so that you know, Ms. Hayden, the conservatorships and guardianships were taken out of the probate discussion. We addressed it, probate and estates, and actually excluded that from the area with the exception of these specific subjects. And because there is crossover in family law, that's why this committee inherited it. Those issues fit more naturally with this particular group. So on the guardianship, let me see what the comments were.
Yeah, it might be helpful to put it up because I think one of the comments also relates to the need to delineate all of the tasks or sub topic areas within guardianship and conservatorships akin to what was done for family law in your chart, Stephen. So on the last,
I'm having an issue. It's not letting me share. Sometimes it does this. It will not let me share apps. It's only letting me share screen. So
can you guys see my screen?
yes, thank you.
Okay. So I think one thing is if we think about generally wanting to authorize representation in guardianship proceedings, then getting into some of the weeds or details of what those proceedings comprise or constitute. I think this list is a nice initial list that they provided to the group to start thinking about all of the steps that are involved.
I agree. And I think that the point in the letter that we really took the time to do that with family law, yet we haven't in those other areas, that very much resonated with me.
I almost think it'd be more appropriate given, like I've probably done 5 guardianships in 26 years. I almost think that this is an area that could be spun off to a separate subject matter area and discussing that, the creation of that subgroup at the general meeting this week. Because what Fariba and I did with regards to family law, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that with guardianships. I'd be so reliant on others. And seeing if we've got, with the new appointees that we have, we may have a judicial officer who's got a lot of experience in probate court that would be able to be a good person to be a part of a subgroup on conservatorships and guardianships.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that we did talk to Judge Emity about some, we talked about guardianships, but that was way back when. And maybe this is the time to revisit this. And if we need to bring in any experts on guardianships, aside from Dana, we can consider doing that, or see what expertise we have amongst the new judges as well.
Does that make sense, Leah?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've identified an area that we thought initially fit with family law, but in hindsight, given the 14 different tasks that were identified in the BetCetic letter, it seems to me that probably is beyond the scope and expertise of the members that are on this particular panel.
Okay.
Am I overstating it for any members? I don't want to misspeak.
No, that makes sense to me. I apologize to the public members who are on this call, but I think we want to get it right.
Okay. And so the same with respect to conservatorships. I think we had conservatorship of the estate. Or am I thinking guardianship of this?
No, it was
I was going to say it was ruled out.
The guardianship of the estate was ruled out because that's monetary matters and we weren't going to do that.
Okay.
We already knew that wasn't going to be in the scope. It's guardianship of the person, and then conservatorships the contested conservatorships, I think we said was out, but there was that, what was the term for the
Limited
thank you.
conservatorship.
Yeah, I think that's what we're really down to is, are we going to allow limited conservatorships, and what role would paraprofessionals play with guardianships of the person?
Mhm. Okay. So those two are the questions that we want to spin off to a separate group comprised of folks with expertise in both areas.
Agreed. And bring that up. Just, I think Justice Petra is listening in. That probably just put that as an agenda item on the meeting on this week. Is it Friday that we meet?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think we can add an agenda. I think we're meeting Thursday. We can't add an agenda item, but the family law subcommittee is slated to report out, and I think it's perfectly appropriate to say that
Okay.
during that time.
Okay.
Okay. Well, so we have another member of the public raising their hand. So I think, why don't we go ahead and take that? Ileana.
I think she's the co-author of the letter that you have on the screen.
Okay.
Hello?
Good
Sorry,
morning.
I mute myself, and I had a hard time figuring it out. I just wanted to say that I appreciate that you're taking this time to discuss this. We worked hard on this letter to make sure to point out some of these issues. And I'm the supervising attorney for guardianship with public counsel. So I've been running the guardianship clinic at Stanley Mosque for about 6 years. It's working exclusively pretty much on guardianships. So I'm happy to answer any questions or give any information you need if you're looking for people with some expertise in guardianships of the person. So please let me know if I can be of any assistance or provide any information to you.
Thank you. Okay. So this is our fastest meeting ever. We could end now and everybody could get 40 minutes back, or we could put Stephen's chart up.
I'm a thumb because I've got a hearing at 11:30, and because Fariba's not here, and because we wanted to get input from the group as a whole before we moved on, because I think where we're stuck on the family law issues is we're right up against the in-court representation issue and getting the determination made on that.
Right.
Everybody's nodding. Yeah.
Okay.
Except Sharon, who's hidden. But I'm gonna guess she's nodding.
Oh, I'm not in favor of in-court representation. You know how I feel about that.
I mean, the topic's up for discussion. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. See you later this week.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.